welcome back to another episode of
The Loud Ones Podcast.
I am your host, Nas B, and in front of me, as always, my beautiful co-host,
Dany B.
So, guys, this week's episode, we are going to be talking about anxiety.
Yeah.
And Dany and we've been wanting to do this episode for such a long time because there is a lot of things to discover about anxiety and just to talk about and normalize.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of our viewers, I know you guys are probably or have gone through this and feel alone at times. So we just definitely wanted to jump in and talk about it, share some of our experiences and kind of some things that help us and what we do and things like that. So,
yeah.
Dany, do you want to get started?
Yeah, I'm going to start. Okay. So I've suffered with anxiety for a while. It's definitely not how it used to be.
Yeah.
And that's all because of my faith and my ability to try to look at things in a positive light. A lot of my anxiety came from my bullying as a child because, you just that like insecurity and just being insecure about like who I am as a person and how people view me. And I just it at a point it had taken over my life.
Yeah.
My work life, because I'm like, oh, what if my boss doesn't like me? What if this and that and the third? And then it got to a point that it was so bad that I had to make sure that I was tackling it.
Yeah.
Because I never wanted to be how can I say this? I never wanted to let it take over my life where I felt like I wanted to end my life.
So can I ask you a question about your experience? So did you always recognize it as anxiety growing up?
I did. And
when did it click? And then you're like, oh, this is it.
I was just like, I used to say like, why do I have this feeling in my stomach? And then I'm a person, as you know, I like to know my shit. Like, so I Googled it and I'm like, my stomach hurts or whatever. And I think I had asked someone and they were like, oh, that sounds like anxiety. And that's when I knew that I had anxiety. Being that my mom is a very Christian woman, she would always tell me to pray about it. And I know some people say that that is not a real method, but when you have faith, it really is a real method because it takes your mind off of, I need to depend on myself so much and shift the gears to, I need to depend on God more than I depend on myself. And that's what really helped me get through this struggle as an anxious person, including as well having my friends to vent to and having yoga.
Yeah.
So
that's been helpful, yoga?
Yeah, it's extremely helpful. I even tried it with my sister one day. She was feeling really upset about something. And I just was like, okay, I'm going to come over tomorrow. We're going to do yoga. And we did it. And she was like, I feel so much better.
What kind? Like, do you do hot yoga? There's goat yoga too.
I don't know how I feel about goats climbing on my goddamn back.
And they be shitting everywhere.
But I did it just a little YouTube. I had gotten me a yoga mat. I was just one day I was just so overly anxious about something going on in my life that I just said one day, I said, I'm going to do yoga today. I'm going to just go and get me a yoga mat. Oh, no. That's not how I started. My friend Christine, shout out to Pounded Yogi, or Yogi Pounded. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but she had a yoga session. I said, let me try it. And I went and bought a mat. And I tried it that first time. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this shit on my own. And I kind of just watched this girl on YouTube called Yoga by Adrian, I think it is.
Okay.
And I did like a 20-minute session. I said, oh, this feels good. And then I went back and I ended up just doing an hour session. And I ended up doing an hour and a half within that one sitting, because I was just like, this feels so good to clear your mind and not have something attached to your thoughts.
So that's a really different experience. And for our listeners, I want you guys to know that anxiety comes in all different colors and experiences. And so Don't take what we're saying as this is the only way you'll suffer or go through anxiety, because you can be anxious about the smallest thing or the biggest thing, and it's still the feeling that counts. So I've suffered anxiety my entire life, and I didn't recognize that until one of my therapy sessions. My therapist told me, like, Nas, it sounds like you've been going through this like your whole life. And it all started with, so my dad, crazy Jamaican guy, he would pop up just randomly all the time. So, as a child, your getaway time was like school. So, you might be a little more chilled, a little more laid back. So for me, like, my dad popping up everywhere, I didn't know that he was contributing and building anxiety within me, because I was always like, oh my God, where's he going to be? Where's he going to be? I can't do this and that. So then that started the thought process that is typical with anxiety of what if this and the what if and the what if and the what if.
Was
and then
he popping up as like a controlling thing, or popping
it
up
was
as
more of a controlling thing? He wanted to make sure you don't know where he is at what time, but always feel like he can be there anytime. So you make sure you be in line, you don't do something, or you're not somewhere you're not supposed to be. So it would just freak me out to the point where it's just like, I already am a person that tries to be ethical, try to do the right thing, but then even more so, it's like, you don't want to fuck up, you don't want to do this, and then you start to trip yourself out. So fast forward to adulthood, my anxiety just got extremely fucking worse, to the point where I think this is probably the worst year for me going through anxiety. I mentioned to you before, like, I've never, from what I can remember, and maybe I didn't identify it as like having an anxiety attack, but I more recently, in this last year, I've gone through a lot of anxiety attacks, where to the point where your body is breaking down, like your stomach is killing you, you're vomiting uncontrollably, you're shaking, you can't control your hands trembling, you're sweating through the night, you're just freaking out, you're panicking, you're thinking your world's going to end. And then I've gotten to the point at times where I felt I was I had the potential for self-harm. And that's when I was like, oh, nah, my anxiety is really fucking with me. And then that's when I was like, okay, I got to seek help. I got to because I'm a person where I'm very big on mental health and I'm very strong. So when I saw that, okay, everything is breaking down for me and I'm going through this, I got to pull right back in, and I need to build a support system that helps me go through this, because I think before I just thought anxiety was normal. And guys, anxiety is not normal. And I say not normal in the sense of, if you're going through it, that is something that you should try to get help with, whether it's self-help, whether it's, going outside and building, like I said, a support system to help you with that, because anxiety can get really bad and can lead into other things like depression and all these other things. So for me, when I noticed it got that bad, I said to myself, I can't keep this to myself. I need to vocalize it. And I need to tell whoever's in my immediate group, so they know what I'm going through. So my goal was, I wanted them to be sensitive towards it and just be able to, whenever I'm calling you about something, even if it's something small and you see I'm very anxious, I'm going crazy about it, just be understanding. And then I obviously, I found my therapist, who is like my Bible. Like, I love her to death. Shout out to her. I'm not going to plug her because she's always booked and busy, but she is amazing. And it's been very helpful. I don't go through anxiety attacks, but I am still suffering with anxiety day to day. But so that's been my experience, which is very different. I entered motherhood this year. I got married last year. I think also with anxiety, and I don't know if this is the same for you, Dany, but whenever you enter new phases in your life, or you go through you start new journeys, there's a lot of self-doubt leads to a lot of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when you start something new, start a new journey, and you are unsure of the outcome, because obviously, no matter how much you work on something and just so you can get the outcome you want, everything's really up in the air, and then that drives more anxiety.
That's how I was.
Yeah.
That part of that is how I became less anxious, was because there was a period when I was working in my old job where I just felt like my director was extremely judgmental of me.
Yeah.
I was never good enough, but always relied on. And it got to a point where I just felt like, you know what, like I cannot do this shit.
Yes.
And then I just said, you know what, God, I trust you. And that's what sparked it, was because I was having a really, really hard time at work. My friends can tell you, like, my old job environment was very toxic because there are people who are stuck in their ways, and then they think that because they have their insecurities, they can layer their insecurities on you. And I don't like that. So basically, she kept telling me that I was not good enough, until it started. That's when Lent started. And I said, God, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I said, God, I need you to help me get rid of negative energy. Help me be able to deflect negative energy when it comes my way, because negative energy, I don't know if corrupt is the right word, but it invades my my mind and my thinking space, and then causes me to have anxiety.
And that's something that, depending on the job that you have, guys,
Venting a lot works.
Understand that your job is probably a huge driver in anxiety most times, because we spend majority of our lives, if you're working for a period of time,
and trying to be successful.
Work, and a majority of our day, if you guys are working in like an office setting, is spent there. So if you don't have the right people on the team that you're working on, or
the right morale,
yes, you're gonna develop anxiety if you already don't have it, and it's ridiculous. I remember me and Dany both work in more corporate settings, and corporate America sucks, guys. I don't want to say it like that
now, but yes, I was working.
Yes, and in one of my old at one of these old companies, is a very, very, very big firm, and the VP that I was working with drove me fucking nuts. These are things that he would do. Like, I say, for instance, he would be like, nah, set up a meeting, for whatever. I would do it, and say, I think we had just got like a new Outlook or some shit. He would be like, I didn't see why do you have a 10-minute reminder setting on? Put it 15-minute. Or he would pop in and pick at little fucking things.
Yeah.
So for me, just putting out an email or a fucking meeting invite made me so anxious, because I would be sitting there reading, and then I would be thinking that, oh my God, if I don't do this right, he's gonna come in, and then if he comes in, what if he gets tired of telling me about this, and and then I'm gonna and then you just start projecting, and then anxiety will pull you out of the present and push you into a future that doesn't exist. And then that the potential future that you're driving in your head, it'll fucking make you even more anxious. And it's a whole rabbit hole that I hate going down, but this is what anxiety does. And then you get so closed in because you're so into your mind and you're not present. Yeah. And so I was losing my shit. That was like one example of the thing that would drive me. I was just losing my shit over the little things like that, and it was crazy. And another thing, I think what America is moving towards in like corporate America culture is flexibility with your work, or like a flexible work arrangement. Because I don't know if like back in the day when I used to take the train, I used to get so fucking upset with the train delays, and it would make me so anxious. And I would just literally be like, holy shit, oh my God, I'm going to be 10 minutes late. And then this and this and that and this and that. And then, oh my God. Then you're on the train and your anxiety is building up. And then you're freaking out going into work. Then you spend most of your day trying to calm down. And then it's just a fucking crazy.
That's why I feel like when you work in certain environments, there are certain bosses that you should have. Like in my old department, my head director was a man. And I can tell you right now, like that I cried. I feel like I want to cry right now when I realized how much he cared about me being successful, because there are fields you go in, you don't feel that. And I thank God now, because I'm in an environment, even though sometimes there is drama, my superiors that are over me when it comes to school and everything really, really, really helped me accomplish the goals that I'm accomplishing now, and they support that. And that's what I feel when we have certain work environments. You need to make sure that your head of that department is understanding enough to understand that we are still human beings. Work has to get done, but work is always going to be there. Now, if you're not preserving the people that are working these positions or doing these things, how do you expect your business to flourish? That's why Apple works so well. That's why Facebook works so well. Because that's why Vice works so well. Because they work towards making sure that their employees are happy being there. And they try to understand that. But also, just making sure that the staff and the people that are there are also beneficial to the company, because that is also a part of the reason why people who have anxiety when it comes to work don't want to go to work or don't feel like being somewhere. But anxiety is not only related to work. It's related to the people you have in your life. You understand? You don't need to be, if you're an anxious person, don't be around people that feed that anxiety. Be around people that are going to help you walk through it. Like your support system has to be strong.
So let's give them some examples of some of the characteristics that some of these individuals might have, because they may not recognize the individuals that contribute towards anxiety. I'll start off. One, if someone is nitpicking, and they're driving a storyline that you're like, wait, that wasn't my intention, that wasn't that. You're gonna go replay that whatever moment over in your head, thinking, oh my God, did I do that? Oh my God, maybe they're right, maybe I didn't do that. No, if someone's nitpicking, and when I say that, for instance, like that happened to me yesterday, in a conversation with my sister, and she was just picking, and sometimes when people nitpick, something that they says pushes them to say something else, and then they just keep digging. So if someone's nitpicking, or I should say digging at you consistently, that is not a healthy thing to be around.
Or always has something negative to say about you.
Yes. So that is a characteristic that you should look out and say, okay, you know what? This is not it. What's another one, Dany?
Another characteristic is someone who is always negative.
Yes.
They never see the bright side of things. They always
pessimistic.
Always see the worst in life before they see the greatness in life, or seeing the progress. They see how much you can lose before they see how much growth is. Or even these type of people do not walk out on faith. That's something that shows what kind of person that right there is a key sign. Somebody who never walks out on faith.
Can I say something? And I'm going to be honest here. I can sometimes be pessimistic, but that's because of my anxiety. I will talk myself out of doing something. And because I start thinking I'm going to do this and I'm going to fail, and especially if you are a person that has like a lot of people depending on you, you overthink things, and then you start talking yourself out of it. So it may reflect to others as negative. But I think what Dany's saying is very different. But when you know someone's really just deep down, their spirit is negative.
Yeah, like you could say anything, and the first thing you say is the worst thing. Like, I know some people like that, and when people are like, a lot of the times, like, it's funny because people will be like, oh, why you don't want to be around that person? Because they're not feeding me. They're not good for me. They're not good for my energy. I can't be around people like that, because and that's why people are like, why are you so short with this person? Or why you don't want this person to come around? Why you don't want to go on vacation with this person? Why you don't want to do that? Because I can't be around that. It makes it upsets me. And when I'm upset, I cannot I am a very, very, very positive person. I never want to get into a space where my mind is always crowded with thoughts. And that's the main part of me not having anxiety as bad as I did, was realizing that what's for me will always be for me.
Exactly.
And no matter how hard you think life will be, it will be for you. I'm going to tell y'all a scenario that showed me that how what's for me, it's always for me. I was in my position before I have this new position for a while. And every time I would grow a little bit, but then I would always get a tinge of negativity. Somebody would be like, oh, why would she get that over me? Okay. I didn't ask for this, but then it came to me. For anyone who doesn't know, I am currently in school, but you guys will figure out what I'm in school for when I graduate. There was my head director. Like, nobody in my department had left, but I had to go to school, so I had to switch my job. I said, you know what, God, something said, go ask the head director. I asked him, and he helped me. I had no experience in the field in which I was going to, but I need to be in that field because that is where I'm going to be in the end. So I never had, and I've been putting applications for months, and I hadn't heard anything back. But then I said, you know what? Be patient. I just kept saying, be patient, because what's for you is always going to be for you. What's for you is always going to be for you. And I just kept saying it. And then somebody in my job did something very disrespectful. One of my higher ups, very disrespectful.
Oh my God.
And that next day, I got the call. We want to bring you in for an interview. Okay, cool.
Amazing.
I went in for the interview. I asked the person who interviewed me, what do you think? She said, oh, I definitely think you're going to get the job. So then I just kind of like went on the wayside, because I said, you know what, like, it's not secure. Then I said, God, it's getting real close to the time that I need to start school, and I need to change my schedule real quick. That Monday, got the call. You got the job. This is how I knew the person that was above me was very negative. I went in there to give her my letter of transfer. And the first thing she said was, oh, this is your letter of resignation, right? She's the person that you have to go through to get your transfer.
Wow.
And hold on. So I looked at her and I smiled. I said, it's something like that. And I waited for the other person to come in the room, and we went in the room, and I said, oh, no, this is my letter of transfer. Guys, I'm going to show you the face she did. She said, oh,
wow.
Yeah, bitch, you thought you could block a blessing, but you're not God. And that's when I knew, put all your faith, not some, not a little bit, put all your faith.
That I have a similar experience to where, so really quick, guys. So years ago, I worked in banking. I'm not going to mention their name because they're very powerful, but one of the biggest banks most of us have. I worked for them. And my manager at the time, she did not like me. I always was trying to figure out why. And eventually she told people because I had like a big butt. She thought I would get attention. And mind you, she's an older lady. She was like in her 50s. I didn't fucking get it. Anyways, she didn't like me. So she found out my mom was also in banking at the time. And so she would always say negative stuff to me. So I just had a lot of anxiety just going to work. Like, oh my God, I'm going to be judged today. Maybe wear different pants. Like, I didn't know. Like, I just couldn't do there. Nothing I did made any fucking sense. It got to the point where the way she was working, a lot of her other people that worked with us had to go to therapy, and
wow.
The company paid for them to get treatment for their anxiety because of the things that she was doing.
Wow.
They didn't fire her, but they paid for treatment for other people. So fast forward to I worked there for 3 months. I said, Mom, I got to get the fuck up out of here. I was young. I was probably this was when I was 18. So it was years ago. And what happened was when I resigned, she told me that I was never going to be anything in life. She said I was never going to be anything. I was never going to make it. And that I was just, I was wasteful. So I really was like, oh my God, I knew I was going to be somebody. And I was like, fuck you. But like, damn, that I've never been told by like anyone that would be like, who the fuck tells people that? Like, that's your employer telling you something like that. Anyways, and she would tell me I would never make money. I would never do this and da 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 da. Now, fast forward to child that she would have seen me. I could shit on her, but I would never do that because that's not in my personality. But to your point, Dany, it's just like these people feel as though they can have some small power, and they want to use it to manipulate and just fuck with you completely. And they're not God. They don't determine your life. And let me tell you, everyone, I feel like everyone has to understand we're all equal. When we all die and be buried in the same fucking place, which is in the earth. So don't ever think that while you're alive that someone has control. No one has the ultimate control over you, because at the end of the day, even if you think like that's your boss, you go home, they don't run your household. You go on vacation, they don't run your things. You can leave that job, they're no longer your boss, they appear to you. So I don't ever think that these people control what you're doing, because when you start thinking that anyone, boss, family members, anyone plays a huge major part in your life other than an influential part, things like that starts to weigh down on you. Anything that you feel is weighing down is going to contribute towards anxiety later on. Like any burden, any weight, anything like so. I would just suggest, and what's been helpful for me, and I want to probably talk about things that has helped us. I think for me, we did an episode last week with Brianda, and we talked about mindfulness. So I studied mindfulness. There's some great books, some cognitive therapy books out there to talk about anxiety, because anxiety also brings they're called unwanted thoughts or intrusive thoughts. And sometimes I want you guys to understand, and people who have not looked into this, if you ever had a thought, you ever just been, all right, this is a very famous example. You ever been on a train station, you look down at the tracks and you vision yourself there and you think that you're going to fall or something like that? Just understand, guys, when you have thoughts that you don't attach yourself to in a personal way, you like that's completely out of character, those intrusive thoughts are also belonging to anxiety, because we trip ourselves and we take ourselves out of present and bring ourselves into the future with crazy shit. So guys, I would say helpful read. I mean, you can do self-help therapy, cognitive therapy, mindfulness. Dany mentioned yoga. She mentioned some other things. So what else, Dany?
For me, it's not worrying, really like shedding the worry and starting to think, replacing worry with what's the worst can happen.
Yes.
That's and also my friends and my mom. I don't want to cry on here, but my friends are really like my backbone. They really helped me get through a lot of things. So I really want to say thank you to my friends and the people that mean the most to me, because you guys have helped me through things that you don't even think or even know you have.
Oh, damn.
So that's why I have really good friends. Like, I always say that I have really good friends, because they, no matter how low I am, they pick me up. So I love you guys. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm crying on here.
Oh, God.
I'm such a fucking big ass baby, y'all. That's one thing y'all need to know. I cry about everything.
It's okay, guys. This episode is a very different from what we've done. But as you can see, I want us to come in on a very personal level, because we love podcasting. We love doing funny content. We love talking about whatever. But I think that a lot of real life things like anxiety, depression, and stuff like that, I want everyone to understand how normal it is, and that you're not alone, because
you're not alone.
This world is exposing a lot of things that has happened behind doors for years. And I want you guys to understand that when you see people taking their own lives, when you see people breaking down, when you see people being dehydrated and they're not taking care of themselves, understand that you're not alone.
And if you ever need someone to call or talk to, people know. Sliding my DM. I am here.
Listen, guys.
I am here.
You can always talk to Dany and I. Even if you don't feel comfortable identifying yourself, you want to send us an email or any advice. I mean, you want advice on any of these situations that we're talking about, just anything. We're open to providing that to you and just giving our thoughts. But I just really wanted to have an episode, and unfortunately, this episode is going to be a brief episode. But what we can do is, if you guys really love this episode and these type of talks, we definitely would love to provide that to you guys, only if you guys really care for it, because I know you guys love our funny and other exaggerated topics. But I definitely wanted to talk more about something that we both personally we've experienced, we continue to experience, and just bring that sense of normalcy to everyone else's lives, that it's okay, guys. Like, it's okay. You're
Everything
still
is going to be fine.
You're
y'all.
still going to be a bad bitch or a popping ass nigga or whatever the fuck. You're still going to go and be the best person ever. Don't let things like this get you down.
Yes, but we do have to end.
Yes, we're running out of time, guys. So, guys, check us out on IG at the Loud Ones Podcast, Twitter, Loud Ones Podcast. You follow me on IG at always_Nas. Also, shoot us an email at theloudonespodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit us up on our professional email. Any business inquiries too. Shout out to potential sponsors. Follow us or not follow us, but email us at help@theloudonespodcast.com. Our website is theloudonespodcast.com. And then Dany, what's your IG?
My IG is at Danybonaduce. I don't have a Twitter, and I don't usually use my Facebook that much. So that's my
IG
main.
for Dany.
Yeah.
Yes, guys. So anyone's shit. My mind is all over the fucking place today. Anyways, guys.
Thank you
so much for tuning
listening
in and
today.
catch us on the flip side. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.